Hey guys, welcome back to Cali Plants. It's me again, Mark, and today we're gonna be making a little tour of the greenhouse. I recently had issues with my watering on my succulents, so I think that I'm gonna be giving you some tips on how to avoid those problems. So just so you know, the main culprit of killing our succulents is overwatering, is improper watering or watering too early. So I will switch a camera and I'm gonna show you the plants I have and how to avoid overwatering them. So for starters, for our first tip to avoid watering is to use clay pots and fast draining potting mixes. So you can see here I have this Romeo in this clay pot and it's still dry. So it hasn't produced a lot of growth because it is drying out very quickly. So that's my problem with the watering. So I think that I will be watering this one more frequently. So you can see here, this one already dries up in about 3 days, and this one takes about 5 days to dry up. So in shallower pots, the potting mix can also dry out because the pot is very shallow. It has more surface area to cover, so it has more space for air circulation. So this one will also tend to be much faster drying than our deeper pots. So that's how you know, that's how you choose your pots for your succulents. So the fastest one is the clay pots. So you can see here, I have here my other champagne varieties in clay pots. So those that are more stable, that has more roots, I move them in a plastic pot, but those that are still acclimating, I move them in clay pots. Now also I find that succulents produce much thicker leaves if they dry out quicker. So since we're on the topic of the pots, so this one is one that I had issues recently. This is actually a very new purchase. This is a Echeveria white one. So you can see here that the leaves are turning black, turning mushy. So that means that it is rotting. So I may have watered it too early, so I wasn't very patient with it. Since it was a new succulent, it was actually getting very thirsty underneath it, but once I water it, it got this mushy leaves. So I think that's a really sad problem. Okay, also you might want to avoid using very fine particles on your potting mixes, because if the potting mix is not homogeneous, okay, what I would say is the potting mix is not balanced in it. So if it has large and very small, very fine particles, so it can tend to hold on to a lot of moisture. So here on this lovely rose, you can see that on the roots of the plant, it is still wet, and on the other parts of the potting mix, it is already dry. So that is a thing that you might want to avoid. The drying time of the potting mix will not be the same, so it will be wet on the roots and then dry on the other parts of the potting mix. So that can cause problems with your plant, because if it's wet here and it's dry here, then this will not dry out very quickly. So that's what I find with using ugly potting mixes with making a bad combination of ingredients. So I think I'm gonna be avoiding mixing this one. On our second tip to avoid overwatering, you can try really checking the bottom leaves of your plant if they are already dry. So you can see here, this is already getting wrinkled, so that's how you know that the plant is thirsty. So also you can check the potting mix if it's dry, if it doesn't have any moisture with it. So if you water it, you will not kill your succulent. Now some people may have an issue with drying out the leaves of the plant and the potting mix is still wet, and even if the potting mix is still wet, the leaves are still dry. There could be a lot of reasons why that is happening. So the plant may still be acclimating, so it's not yet rooting up, so the leaves stay dry because it's not absorbing water, because it still has few roots. Now also, this could be an issue with the plant being heat stressed. So if your succulent is getting too much heat and the leaves are getting wrinkled and the potting mix is still dry, it's still wet, so you have to give it more protection so that the plant can drink water, because the plant will not be drinking water if it's getting too much heat. So succulents are actually heat sensitive. They want to absorb water when the temperatures are much more mild. So if the temperatures are too hot, I would recommend you avoid watering your plant, and if it's already getting wrinkled, give it some protection first before you water it, because it will really not absorb water if it's too hot. On our third tip, I would say, if in doubt, don't water. So you can see here, this is a plant that I'm not yet watering, I'm not yet bottom watering, because I still doubt that this plant will take in water. So I think that it's already rooting up, I believe. So I'm just not watering it yet, but you can see here that the leaves are getting wrinkled. This is an Echeveria Viant. I will be watering this probably in a few days. So this one also, they're still rebooting, so I haven't been watering them yet. But you can see here that succulents can really tolerate being not watered for very long. So if you got a big size succulent like this one can still survive for about 2 weeks without watering. So if it's still rooting and if you're not quite confident with the plant yet, don't give it full watering yet. You can just try top watering while it's acclimating, while it's rooting. But if it's a big size succulent, so like this one, it has already a lot of leaves and it's still dry, it's still soft. So don't get worried, don't get worked out about too much about that, because that's just how succulents are. Once you water them, they will plump back up. But if you're in doubt, if you're still not sure if they should be watered, then you can try avoiding watering them, since they will not die. So this one, I haven't been watering this for about 2 weeks already. These two, I haven't watered them for about 2 weeks, but they're still alive. So I don't have problems with that. Once I water them and once I'm sure that they will really be absorbing water, then they will produce more growth, then they will become fat again. So I'm being very patient with my succulents right now, since it's also getting really rainy here. So I think that's the fourth tip that I will be sharing with you. If you know in your weather forecast that you will not be getting any sun, for example, here in the Philippines, we have these weeks where we don't get sun since it's very rainy, or it's very cloudy, or we're getting VOG, or we're getting VOG, or volcanic smog. So if you're getting that in your location and the sunlight is reduced, then don't water your succulents, since they will not die. And also, if they don't have sun, they will not be absorbing any of those water that you give them, so they will be rotting. So they will rot if you water them if they're not getting enough sun. So I would also say that this applies to those who are moving their succulents around. So if you're moving them in a shaded area and then bringing them out on the sun, so if you're putting them in a shaded area, don't give them water. So if you know that they're not getting direct sun for about 2 or 3 days, then don't give them water. They will not die if you don't give them water. So just make sure that they get enough sun. If they're getting sun, they will be absorbing those water that you give them. So the fifth tip I have for you is to avoid watering when the plant is dormant. So you can see here, this sedum is very dormant. So you can see that the leaves are very plump and it's also not producing a lot of growth. So you can see here, this one I believe is already drying up. Okay, so sad. So I have here, since it's already summer, the days are very long right now currently, so I'm not giving much water on my sedums. I'm letting them dry out, because if I give them water, they will die. So I have my sedums here, they're getting full sun, but I haven't been watering around a lot. So because I believe that they're very dormant. So you can see, you can tell the plant is dormant if it's not getting thirsty, if the leaves are really plump, and then they die back. Okay, they dry out right away. So I think that's an issue that I'm still trying to solve with my plants. So you really have to be mindful of the dormancy of your succulents. Echeverias, they will grow more during the summer, which is the season we're currently in, so you want to give them more water. If they dry, then you might want to water them already. Just make sure that they don't get a lot of heat, because they can also rot if they get a lot of heat during the summer months. And on our Graptopetalum, sedums, and our other Pachyphytums, they will be growing more during the winter, but I would also avoid watering if you're not getting enough sun. So if you're living in the tropics and you're getting rainy season, if you're getting rain for about a whole week, which they don't get water, I would also avoid watering there, because the plant will die. The plant will die if it doesn't get enough sun. So that's how you know, that's how you avoid overwatering, guys. I think I made this video very simple for those beginners out there who are getting problems with overwatering their succulents. So I think that's about it for this quick video update, guys. If you really like the tips that I give you, please make sure to hit the thumbs up below, and also you can support the channel by subscribing. And that's about it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.